with you anywhere with your smartphone or tablet. If you are in the Conroe area, tune in on FM. That's Conroe's FM 104.5, 106.1. If you are on the computer, bookmark irlonestar.com as your internet radio station. A Lone Star Community Radio, broadcasting 24/7 from the heart of downtown Conroe, Texas.
Thank you for listening to Lone Star Community Radio. This program was broadcasted and recorded live from the LSCR studios in downtown Conroe, Texas. Lone Star Community Radio is supported by listeners like you. Donate and sponsor today. For more information on getting involved with Lone Star Community Radio, contact us at lscrstudios@gmail.com or visit us online at www.irlonestar.com.
You are listening to the Lone Star Community Radio on 104.5 KCZWLP Conroe and 106.1 KZCCLP Conroe and worldwide on irlonestar.com.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us on the Cindy Cochran Show. It's a hazy day, but it's not as cold. You could wear like a regular shirt out here. It's just amazing. So I'm thankful for that, because it has been temperatures like, a lot of you people that it's been 13, 20 below, whatever. I don't see the difference, the feeling of 20 or 20 below. I just can't imagine. I cannot wrap my head around that at all. It's just so cold that you just want to stay under the covers with the heating blanket over you and just shiver like that. It's just every kid. We have my grandchildren and my daughter at my house, and so they've taken my heater. I had like a little heater just up there. So when we put the heater on, the central heat on, everybody gets sick. They start sneezing. So I don't know what's in our. Anyway, we got to get that fixed because we got to have heat. But everybody wants a heater and a heating pad, and so they came and all got mine whenever it got really cold. And so I'm going I got to go to Walmart and get one of those. They've got the best heating pads. They're big, and you just lay them across you, and it really does get hot. But anyway, that has been the struggle, I guess, the last 2 or 3 days, is you feel like, ay. But then when that sun came out, and the most beautiful, gorgeous sunrise happened, and I walked out there and I went, oh, thank you, God, because here the sun is out and you get to see the blue sky again, and it was just gorgeous. So what's interesting to me is that we have with us today Sonny Wessel, who has written a book called Special Invitation, God's Special Invitation. I had to look at it again because I think I got it totally turned around. God's Special Invitation. And I think the question she asked is, what you get a special invitation from God, how are you going to RSVP that invitation? Now, I don't think I've ever RSVP'd an invitation, because I just called them like, oh, you want me to come to this? And I pick up the phone and call them, and that's my RSVP. I'm coming. I'm so excited. I can't wait to go to this thing. But if I had to do it the correct way, which is the manners should teach you that you always RSVP that invitation that you get, because they went to the trouble to send this fancy invitation to you. So now you need to respond whether you're gonna go or not. And so that's the question she's put to everybody. I've never seen that question before. We of course stand up at the end for the invitation. Every Sunday we stand up for the invitation, and that's always been such a sweet thing. I never think of it as like a party invitation or dinner invitation or anything like that. It's just so that you can get your soul saved invitation, and it's an important one. So we're going to talk about that today. But she is the coolest lady. She does so many things that, like so active, and then has the time to write these books. It's amazing. So we're going to get involved with her family and find out who she is, and you're going to be empowered by this person, and we're going to tell you how you can get this book. This book is something that it's different. It's not just you sit and read. You become active in it. You're going to be active. You've got to write your thoughts. You need to, if you study what she says and what the Bible is saying, of course, and how to respond to God to become closer to God. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. And we thank you so much, Sonny, for sharing this time with us. Thank you. Now, if you'll pull that mic as close to you as you can, like I'm just talking like, because it needs to pick up everything that you say. And she's very soft-spoken, like me. She is very sweet, very, I love that. Now, if your grandchildren and all that are watching right now, they're seeing you live. I told you it was live, right? Did I tell you it was live?
Well,
okay.
Yes.
Richard has always said, if you told them they're going to be on TV, right? Because they get here and I said, okay, and they look at the cameras and said, what are all these cameras for? And I went, oh, I may have forgotten to tell you that we're going to. And they said, oh, let me take the curlers out of my hair. But what's cool about being on radio, and even though it's live, they're still only seeing you from here up. So, I didn't mind you wearing pajamas at all. It was fine. Your pajamas were fine. They were really cute.
Want to be comfortable.
No, you look so nice. Okay, Sonny, so you grew up around this area, right?
I'm a native Houstonian.
So am I. You're a native Houstonian.
Yes.
Okay. I thought it was you were around Montgomery County. When did you move out to more this area?
In 1977, my husband and family moved to Montgomery County. With every move that after we were married, we kept moving farther north. And when our children were little, my husband said, they don't have enough responsibility, just dusting and emptying the trash. He's a farm boy. He wanted to have animals. And I'm a city girl.
Yes.
I'm thinking, oh, how is this going to work out? I don't want to be with no neighbors, isolated.
Yeah, right.
And we found this wonderful neighborhood off of 1488 that had a combination. It had certain homes zoned for horses, and still I had neighborhoods and lights on the street.
And lights on the street. Yeah. Oh, boy. You see, because we moved to Willis, and I hated going down a street with no lights.
Yeah.
And this was, probably about 19 years ago that we did this. And he said, okay, we're going to go out to this place. It's Willis. And I found where I think we ought to move to. And I've already bought the property. But okay, okay, good. And we drive out, and he turns down this road. It's just pitch black all the way down there. So all you're seeing is the creepy trees, and the lights are just not lighting everything up enough. And we get to this road, and he turns down this road, and it's just land. There's like 3 houses, I think, on the strip right there. And I go, oh, for crying out loud. And he said, but I ought to take you during the day too, so you see what it looks like during the day. And finally he did, and it was beautiful. I mean, we went down Shepherd Hill, and it's rolling, kind
yes,
of.
It is
and
gorgeous.
I would call them hills because I came from Houston, flat as it can be, and so it was great. But it was a different. Now we have longhorns, like one house over in front of their yard, and horses and cows,
yes.
And we have goats, and it's just like amazing. So you just combine those two, and that's fine.
Yes. It's where we reared our children. They graduated from Conroe High School.
Oh, they did.
Yeah.
Okay, where'd you go to high school in Houston?
I went to Memorial High School. It's where I graduated from in the Spring Branch district.
You went to the fancy school. Y'all were the fancy kids, It was just, I went to Milby.
When I-10 was a dream, and it was just Katy Road was our only freeway, 2-lane highway. Yes, the fancy area.
Well, I remember us playing Memorial, and I went to Milby from the East End.
Yes.
And so the East End was kind of considered a rough, area. And so my friends were saying, we're going to play Memorial. Like, can you believe we're playing Memorial? I mean, they got so much money over there. They're all rich and all that stuff. And I went, really? So you get all, like, everybody gets mad at them before we get on the field or anything. Like, we're going to beat those guys because they're so rich. And I think it's funny football was such a big deal because we had no other. There was no internet, and didn't have games to play and all that stuff on TV. So, in fact, did we have TV? Yeah, we had TV. My grandson said, they had high schools when you were young? I went, what do you mean by that? And I said, of course they had high schools when I was young, because I was showing him what Millby looked like. He said, it's still up? And I said, yeah, it's still up. So bad. But, so where in Houston did you live?
I lived in Sandalwood off of Memorial Drive.
Okay.
Lovely neighborhood. Loved it.
It's beautiful. My husband's family was in Memorial. And it was so funny because still there it was, Memorial and East End. And she said, my mother asked me, are you going over to their house? And I went, yeah. And she says, it's probably, they live in Memorial. It's a big house. So you just have to be ready for it. And it was a culture shock because she would do this little thing like ting-a-ling-a-loo, and everybody would come to dinner. It was so funny. And so I loved them. I loved that area, but it was so different from the East End side of Houston. And so you understand. I love that you're from Houston. And now, when were you born? I hate to say, when were you born? You're not supposed to ask people how old they are, but I'm 75.
I'm 77.
Oh,
I consider that a perfect age.
It's 77, 2 sevens. That's very lucky.
Yeah.
No, so then you were around Houston till when? Till what age were you in that area?
Through marriage.
Through marriage?
Until marriage. I married at 19.
You married? So did I.
Yes.
I did too. So good grief.
And still stayed in Houston until we went off to college for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And I've also lived in Germany for a couple of years.
Now that must have been really strange.
It was a wonderful adventure. I felt like I was in Storyland.
Really?
Yeah,
oh,
yeah. I loved it.
Well, you get a lot of inspiration from there as well. I mean, I guess really, if you're going to write books, you need to be out and experience, life with people that are not maybe cut from your corner of Houston, but that you do have that kind of experience and knowledge and of all those things that happen, and the way people see God, the way that people react to religion, and what is religion, what is spirituality, what is, all the different types. So when you started writing, your main goal was what?
To record the thoughts and inspiration that I felt like the Lord gave me is the reason I would write things down, journaled. And since I valued what God said to me as much as I did, I kept books of journals, but that came later. Mostly it was scraps of paper and notes. And then even after the books came the computer. And I kept my thoughts and inspirations that I felt like the Lord gave me there, because I wanted to refresh myself. You know how easy it is to just forget what the preacher preached about when you leave.
Right, that's right.
I can't tell what it was that afternoon. And so I wanted to refresh myself of what I felt like God was showing me or telling me, and because I wanted to hold myself accountable. And so I kept moving these things around with every move in our marriage, and I stored them while we were overseas. And so it was quite an adventure for me to just be able to put it all together in one methodology so that people could access it, so I could access it all.
And you said you started that at how old?
Well, I started journaling when I was in my teens.
Okay.
Because I started my journey with Jesus when I was 5 years old.
Okay.
And so in my teens, I started writing down the things that spoke to my heart and that I didn't want to forget. So these are the things I saved and collected. And after marriage, we liked motorcycles, my husband and I. One time riding behind him on our motorcycle, and I'm just spending time with the Lord, enjoying his presence and praise and worship. I felt a nudge that I was going to write a book. And I thought, oh, praise God, that's wonderful. What's it going to be about?
Give me some detail, God.
Yes. And do I start taking classes on how to write? And I never got any sense of direction or desire or inspiration to do anything like that to prepare myself. So I thought, okay, God, I do believe I've heard your voice. I do believe, Lord, you're going to show me. And I'll just wait patiently. So that's one of my examples of receiving invitations from God. Sometimes the invitation is to wait and not be anxious. So I just chose not to be anxious about, okay, what's this book supposed to be and how do I get ready and that sort of thing. Well, I would revisit the subject with the Lord after a period of time. Sometimes decades would go by. And I said, okay, Lord, about this book, what do you what's it going to be? And when do I start it? And, what's the title? So at one point in time, I thought, I need to just sit down at the computer and start writing down what I feel like the Lord's given me and let him lead me as I go. Sometimes you just have to start something and then the Lord leads you. And after a couple of pages, it went flat. I didn't feel like it was going anywhere. I said, okay, Lord, either I haven't learned it or I haven't lived it. So I'm going to be patient for you. I know that you will show me. So more time goes by, and I'm introduced into a method by the church leadership to using a certain method of journaling. So I decided I'll take all of my scraps of paper and notes and everything in the computer and write it in that format, the same format. And as I'm working on this, I'm thinking, my children, if they found these papers after I'm gone, they probably wouldn't know what to do with them, and they might not even read them.
That's right.
So I thought, okay, if this is the most valuable thing I think I have, and above all else, except for maybe relationships, I felt like this was the most valuable thing that I have. So I thought, I'm going to put it in a book. That's the most important book I could write, is what God has said to me.
Yes. And the invitation that he had given you, nudged you with.
Yes.
To write, that you're going to write a book.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was interesting because you did say we get invitations from God all the time.
We do.
And a lot of times we don't recognize that's the invitation from God, because if he wants you to, to speak to this person, or someone comes into your life and you go like, I didn't ask for that person to come into my life. So, okay, that's from you, God. Okay, great. But it is our trying to figure out, what do you want from me? Like, I'm here. I want to serve you. I want to do this. So you just let me know. But a lot of times we don't open the invitation even at all. And I had a person say one time, we want to do something about us getting back to the Bible, reading the Bible, and that's going to be my sermon. So would you do something on that? And I said, okay. So we had people talking about the Bible, and we had them sitting like in a living room or whatever, and the Bible be just laying there. And then we had people where the Bible was laid open and all that. And so this one guy comes out and he opens up his Bible and he blows and all this dust comes out and he goes, okay, we're going to get back to reading the Bible. And now, because it's all on your phone, you have everything on your phone. And I remember when the phones first came out, and I said, I bet one day that's going to be the Bible. That's going to be, and how precious. We would take the Bible, and my mom wouldn't let us write in the Bible, write notes and things like that. It was before she realized it's just paper, and that's not, it's okay to do that. That's helping you understand it. But, and people highlighting, she goes, I can't believe somebody would put yellow in and so it was a real big change for her to to start writing in her Bible. And when she did, boy, she did. And she wrote, a lot of things in there. It was great reading for, a side note would be so good because it was what she was feeling at that time and all that. So what you've done is you take all those inspiring times that you've had in your life and you wrote things down that you're feeling. That's God speaking to you, that now you have that all compiled so that all your kids can see that. That's going to be incredible. And I imagine, like, when each one of them has one of these books, right? All your kids,
yes.
grandkids, and everybody has books. And it was a great Christmas present, right? That's okay, guys. Grandma's written another book. We gotta get these presents in here. But I think that's just amazing for them. That will go on and on and on. So, I don't know how long the cloud keep things up there before it rains out or whatever it goes away, because I don't understand that at all. But I've told the kids, I said, now when I'm gone, I want y'all to know that all this will be on the internet all the time. And they go like, okay. And I said, so that way you can, and you can listen to these radio shows and these, and they go, okay. And they just go like, but we've seen it all. We know that. That would make me sad to have to go listen to your voice and to listen to that. And I went, sad? No, it's supposed to be, inspiring and everything. But what you've done is great. And I think your kids probably just love you for it. And you were talking about all these inspiring things and stuff that you just kept in your heart, and you just have to be patient and wait. It reminded me of Mary. It was so cool that God said that in the Bible. It said, and so she treasured all these things in her heart of what Jesus was doing and things he had gotten into. And I thought that was, I love how the Bible does bring, I'm sure this is what you've, as I was going through it, what you have done is make it where it's so personal, and everything that happens in your life is somewhat talked about in the Bible, and so that you can relate. God is not an unrelatable God, and he wants you to be close to him. So that you were talking about the intimacy with God. How do we know, or how do we gain an intimacy with God?
Well, thank you for asking that question, Cindy. It's a very good question. Intimacy with God is all about relationship. That's what God's invitation is to have relationship with him. And he wants us to draw closer to him. That's his invitation to us, and develop that relationship. Just like in any natural relationship, it can grow.
Right.
And that's what God's invitation to us is to have relationship with him, and for that to develop, for it to grow. And sometimes we don't recognize these invitations. I've missed some invitations from God, and there have even been some, Cindy, regrettably, I said no to. But that's a part of the journey. That's part of the progress that we make. And if we can grow from that and learn from that. And some I've even said, maybe later, just put it off or ignored it. So everyone can relate to invitations, just like you said. And one of those invitations to me at one point in my life was to not fear, but to trust him. And I think probably that many of us can look back. You can probably look back at times where God gave you that invitation. But an outstanding one for me was in 2013, so that's just almost 11 years ago. I had a bump come up on my right thigh, very large and painful, about the size of a golf ball. When it popped out of my muscle, that's how it felt like it did.
Uh-huh.
And it was so painful that I had trouble sleeping at night. And it took quite a while. That happened in actually, the surgery was in 2013, but it actually happened in 2012. So it took a couple of months or more before it was properly diagnosed. At first, I was told it was a hematoma and that it would go away. So I didn't alter my lifestyle or change anything, but I noticed that more activity seemed to aggravate it. Well, I finally got a good an accurate diagnosis, and it was a malignant sarcoma.
Oh, my goodness.
And from the time that it popped out, that December of 2012, until I had surgery in April of 2013, so it's not a very long period of time, it grew to 7 by 14 inches, and it weighed 5 pounds. I asked the surgeon at MD Anderson, I praise God for Justin Bird, at MD Anderson, I asked him, I said, keep it whole if you can, and put a ruler by it. I want to see it, have a picture. And that's how we know the size of it and the weight of it. It looks like a roast. It was so big. If you went to buy a roast to fix for dinner.
Okay, thanks, Now, every time I look to buy a roast, I'm going to think of your leg.
But that was a time
That's
for
a
me.
big. Oh, my goodness.
An invitation to me from the Lord to trust Him. And I just to dive more into my relationship with Him, so I would not be able to succumb to worry and doubt and fear. Tried to stay off the internet, not try to know everything there was to know about this thing. Because I just kept reminding myself of what God says in His Word, that He is a good God. This thing did not come from Him. And God knows my ways. He orders my steps according to the Bible. And He has a pathway of health for me. And I would be just as happy as I could be for a divine miracle and healing. But whatever pathway He chose for me, I knew there was one. And that's what I focused on. Lord, you are near. You're with me in this situation, and I can trust you. And that was my invitation from Him. And that one I accepted.
That's great. And it worked, didn't it?
Yes, hallelujah. Because obviously not maybe to the audience, but I am strong and whole.
Oh, no, I'm so shocked at all the things that y'all still are very active.
Yes.
You're not taking Balance of Nature or anything, are you?
No.
I always tell everybody, Balance of Nature is it's everything. But I pray for consistency. I'm probably the most inconsistent person. Don't tell Richard. I'm the most inconsistent person I know. I don't stay with something long enough to make sure that this is working, because it was working. I loved it, and then I missed a day, missed 2 or 3 days. I'm just now starting to get back to it, and once you order it, it keeps coming, and they don't call and say, hey, do you need more? It's just going to keep. So I've got these boxes of, and I should start selling them on eBay or something, but it did work, and because I believed what they were saying and what it was. It made sense to me. It was like common sense that if you put this in a powder form, and it's really the vegetables you say it is and all that. That it's going to make you feel better, because I don't eat right, and so and I found out that for diabetics it's a good thing. It's a good thing to have, and so I thought, okay, I've got to be consistent, and I will be doing one of those commercials. I know for sure. And so far though, I'm not a good student yet. I will be though. I'm going to be, all the resolutions that you make and break. And are you a resolution maker?
Sometimes.
Okay. Now, do you resolve that and go like, okay, Sonny, you got to stay with this, or it's going to be, people won't believe you when you say you're going to do this or that. Is your family resolution makers?
Not too much.
They're not?
No.
I think that trend is going away. Because people are realizing all it does is make me feel like I'm a failure. And so why would I keep doing that over and over again? I'll just be, I can remember whenever my friends that were Catholic would say, they're giving up this, they're giving up that. And I thought, that's so cool. And I said, and how long do you give that up for? Well, it's not forever. You just give it up for a season. You just give it up for a season. And I went, but is it longer than a week? And they go, like, well, Cindy, if you're going to do something, you need to do something like it's not convenient for you. It's like, and you're not going to give up broccoli or give up spinach and that kind of stuff. You have to give up something you really want and like. And I went, okay, that sounds a lot more complicated than I thought it was going to be. So, but I think that it's just interesting to me that people that try and do the resolutions and how quickly they go away. And I think the whole resolution thing is going away because I didn't hear much about it this time as last, times in the past. And it's like, okay, I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to start working out. I'm going to do all this. And you just stop, especially when you get to be about 75, you go, okay, I think I've gone through that. I've done that, got the T-shirts that's ripped from it and everything. I've got, I've had that experience of feeling like, but I do feel like I just can't be consistent enough to stay with it. So this is what, goodness, you have to be very consistent to be able to write a book like this and stay with it and do all the research that you've done and all. And your publisher is
Teresa Granberry of Harvest Creek Publishing, and she is local.
And yeah, I've heard that whenever I was reading it, and I thought, I know that publisher is, but she is local in.
Yes.
Okay. See, that's perfect because then you can be able to get a hold of your publisher and I'm like, okay, listen, this is what we're going to do.
That could be an example of an invitation I felt like I had from the Lord by meeting Teresa. We go to the same church, and she held a class on Get It Right, W-R-I-T-E. And so I thought, oh, this is coming at a good time in my life.
Perfect. Thank
so
you,
I'll
God.
take the class. Sometimes you don't know it's God nudging you, don't know He's leading you, but and so she's a delightful and wonderful editor, very good to work with.
That's great because I think that finding a publisher and going to them and saying I've got a good idea. How much do you have to have going in? Do you have to have the book completed, or do you give them a synopsis, or what is it you do to the publisher?
Well, I think many people are at different stages when they talk to an editor about what they want to write. But for myself, I had everything written down in the format that I wanted, and so I was very close to the end of that writing process. She helped me because I had no experience, learning that there's different kinds of options to me as a writer for publishing, and certainly she helped me did the format and the layout, and, the technical things.
Well, in this book, a lot of you have gotten these like self-help. You feel like they're self-help books, but you're not going to be as active in the books, a lot of those books, as you are going to be in this one. She's got a book that has you're going to work. You're going to work out. You're going to read. You're going to get inspired. Then you go like, oh, yeah, I know exactly what I would do. And then you have all these different pages that you can write down what it is that you would do. And the RSVP is a great idea. That was so smart. You get invitation, and how do you RSVP? And I don't know what age I was when I found out what RSVP actually means. I just thought, RSVP? But it's but how are you going to answer the invitation? Are you going to answer the invitation positive, negative? But I've had invitations I never even opened, so that's probably the worst, is that you don't even open it and give the people at least a chance to see what it is that they want you to do or say or be at some place, and probably miss some opportunities that way.
Well, this book will help you learn how to recognize invitations from God, how to hear His voice, because not through so much teaching, but through experience of being able to receive His word and respond to it. That's why it's interactive. And say, such as when I heard it in the NIV, the scripture says, no word from God will ever fail. And that somehow exploded within me. I thought, oh man, if I really believed that, I'd live differently.
That's a good point.
You know,
You're right.
Do I really live like no word from God will ever fail? So that's what I mean by interacting, asking questions, and you get to write down your thoughts, and then receive God's invitation at the end of the devotion to be able to trust Him in what He tells you and how He leads you.
Boy, that's a huge thing, especially now in all of this chaotic elections and who our leaders are going to be. And when God says, pray for your leaders,
Yes.
I understand, because a lot of leaders you don't feel like have a prayer. And so you feel like you need to be praying for them. And it's hard sometimes. You know, it's easy to, you know, like God said, it's easy to love who's people that are lovable. But what good is that? What's good is that you love people that are not lovable. That's why I love Richard so much.
Oh.
He helps me practice that, and I help him practice loving people that don't do what they're supposed to do. But I think it's interesting that, you know, he certainly extends every option for you to get involved, to do something that is going to help you, and all he wants is for his kids to be happy and healthy and live is their life, you know.
Yes.
And he doesn't ask that much. It's like when you just went to pray, and he said, "Hey guys, could y'all stay up?" And I'm going to go pray. And he comes back and they were asleep, and he says, "Couldn't you have stayed up just one more hour?" And I thought that was one of the saddest things in the book, because he had to ask them, you know, couldn't y'all stayed up? Y'all don't know, but they didn't understand the significance of what he's getting ready to go through. They didn't understand any of that, but we have that now. And so a lot of times when, you know, I should be helping someone, you know, or stay up with them for one more hour.
Yes.
And haven't done that, because I remember getting mad at the apostles when I was younger and read this, and I went, man, I would have been up there. I've been just waiting, you know, when is he going to get back? When's he going to get back? And, you know, and I said, God, I would never have just stood you up like that. I would never have done that. Like, yeah, you've done that a lot of times, Cindy. Let me remind you of all the times you've done that. But it's so good to have things thrown in your face like that and go like, you know, he's talking to you, and this is now. And a lot of the stuff that's going on in this book is now. And there's no new sin. There's nothing that's happened that he hadn't thought about could happen.
Yes.
And so it's not like it's a first time for everything in this. So I love in any way getting into the Word. It's just it's fun, because in that book that you have that's on there in dust or in your digital in your phone, is that every time you read it, depending on what has happened to you, it's going to be different. It's just different, the age you are and all that. Because now when I listen to the sermon, I listen to the songs and all that, I start crying, because it's so touching, because you understand this now. You're getting closer and closer to that time when you're going to get to be there, you know. And so I'll probably be there before Richard's there, and you know, and I'll try and hang out at the gate and wait for him to come in. But it's going to be interesting, because it just doesn't. It fills your soul. It fills your, you know, the hunger that you have, and the thirsty. I remember
Yes.
talked about the thirst that you have, and we get dehydrated, don't we?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's
and His word is living water.
That's right. And it makes sense. It really makes a lot of sense. But there is so much hope. And that's what is great, that you bring a lot of hope, and And if you can get your mind off of what's happening all around you, that's happened over and over and over again in history. But here's your chance to make a change, to make a difference in your life, that you may affect other people, that they have the hope and that they get into the Word and all that. And that's more important than, a lot of the stuff that we think is very important. And I know that my kids will say, quit watching Fox News. Just stop it. And I said, why? I said, I don't want to keep up with what's going on. They said, but don't you hear, we're hearing them repeat the same stuff they said, 15
From 1
minutes
hour
ago.
to the next.
Yeah, that's right. I said, I know, but I think I may have missed something, But they're right, because, when you stop watching news, or you stop, your brain has a chance to think on and dwell on good things, so that you can have that peace that passes all understanding.
Yes.
If God promised, I'd go to whatever He promised rather than a politician promises. And He says, if you think on these things and the good things of life and what's good around you, that you're going to have a peace that passes all understanding.
Yes.
That's pretty amazing, and a lot of us don't practice that, I know, enough, because we dwell on the things that could be, that hadn't even happened yet, but you're mad about them, or you're worried about them and all that. So I think it's great that you bring all that out. What are some of the comments that you get after people have gone through this?
Well, one of my friends said, I know you're supposed to write things down as you go through it, but he said, I couldn't put it down. I read 100 pages before I stopped.
Oh, that's great. What a great compliment.
It was. And I've had some great things that people have said in the reviews on my website or at Amazon about it, how that it touched them in an unusual way. And so I've had some great feedback.
Well, I know you're going to be modest about it and all, but it's good. It's good that people are seeing this, and I know you. I mean, we just met, but you feel like you're kindred spirit, and you feel like you would never want to. You're not going to brag what people are saying about you and all of that. But I know that you give all the glory to God anyway, and
Yes.
He gets the glory for it, and that's what's so cool, is that you really are grounded, and that's fine. Is your husband? Did y'all meet church, meet at college, or?
That's a wonderful story. Thank you for asking, Cindy. We met at youth church camp.
Oh, great.
We were both 16, and he had just moved to Houston, and he lived in the Spring Branch School District. I didn't know him. We didn't go to the same church. I went to Spring Branch High School 1 year, but we didn't know each other there. But we met at this church camp in a most unusual way. His legal name is not Wes. We've been married over 57 years. And later on, as a teenager, he started being called Wes by his friends. But his legal name is Cheryl Lynn. And so he's all excited about going to youth camp, gets his $25 off for the week. That's all it was back then.
Oh, man.
And, to be first on the list and be sure to get a room. And I send mine off, and we meet standing in line waiting for our room assignment, and they kept passing us by for other people because they didn't find our names on the list. Now we're down to 2, And Wes said, he wasn't called Wes at that time, but he said, well, look on the girls' list. And there his name
Cheryl
was on the top of the girls' list. So obviously they looked on the boys' list to find my name.
That's right. Oh, how cute. That's right. Because whenever they said your name was Sonny, and I thought Sonny, Sonny, is the way they spell a boy's name, right?
Right.
Yeah, and the Sunny was the girls. That's hilarious. That's a great story.
It is a great story. And another thing that's interesting about our story, I think, and it ties in with invitations from God, is that called on me a couple of times in our high school years. We didn't really date that much, but after high school, he called on me again, and he wanted to know if I wanted to go out sometime. I didn't like that. It's too vague, too general, not specific. But
we were just talking about dating, and so he said, "Let's go out sometime."
Yes, and so I'm processing this, and I answer him. I think within myself, he's a nice guy. I shouldn't just turn him off because I don't like the way he asked for this date. And the first thing he asked me to do was go to a Dale Carnegie course.
Oh, my word.
What kind of a date is that? How can that be fun? And again, I just reasoned within myself, well, I shouldn't reject somebody just because I just think it's not a fun thing to do. So that's an invitation I could have missed.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
That was the beginning of our dating relationship. I went with him to that Dale Carnegie course, which was life-changing for him, and I took the course later on and thoroughly enjoyed it too. Benefited from it. Made sure our two teenagers, while they were juniors in high school, took the course. So it helps people have confidence and not be afraid of public speaking and remember names, that sort of thing. So that was the beginning of our dating relationship, and I could have totally missed knowing this wonderful person that's been a gift to God, from God to me for over 57 years.
That's wonderful. I love that. So your first date, it was Dale Carnegie. Dale Carnegie was a great. I mean, that was. I don't know if they still have Dale Carnegie courses or not, but it was wonderful because my husband he's a salesman, and so they have to go through all of that, and I love that that's how y'all met and that you went to the first date. I have to remember that and tell people but people have to be older to understand what that would be like to go to one of those things because they're real rah, right? In his classes?
Yes, it was. I know it's been through several different revisions, and I don't know what it's like now, but that's what it was then. It was,
they made fun of it a lot in movies and things like that, of all those type of classes, or the way they give those seminars and stuff. Mm-hmm. But I think that's really cute. And now you said your children, Sonny gave me a piece of paper. If anybody that's listening to my show would probably know that this is going to be. She gave me this so I'd have questions I could ask her, and we could talk about things and all that. And I love that. But me, and we start talking, and I've even forgot to say thank you to the sponsor. Usually I have to do that at the very beginning and say that. I need to have that written on and have it like this to me but we have a great sponsor. It's the Chris Wootton is the CEO of the Wootton Financial Group, and he's been with us for like 3 years, or I think it's about 3 years. 3 times he's sponsored us, and it's every 6 months. How many? No. Did you say 3 months? Oh, I have. I thought he was giving me how many years we've been together. But we got 3 minutes left. This has gone by so fast, way too fast. But anyway, the Wootton Financial Group, we thank you. We're so happy that you have been with us and stayed with us. They're great. They're a great group, and he is a great guy. He has so many. The way he's brought up his children to understand finances and to, you give your money first to God, and then he goes down the list, got the priorities straight and all that. So he's a really good guy. So if you ever need that, be sure and call Wootton Financial Group. And listen, Sonny, everybody wants to get your book now. So we have got in. Richard has put in your next to us. Do you have it on Lone Star, or do you have it on YouTube? The information on how to order her book. Both? Oh, they're on both. Of course, they're on both. He's done them. So how you can order her book, but this to go to your website is
sunnysbook.com.
That's how, and it's SUNNY.
Yes.
Sunnysbooks.com, and get this book, this amazing book. It is, and you're gonna learn more. It's gonna be like going to school. You got to write these things down. Writing things down. We do this, so you don't have to do any of this. You need to do this, and it's gonna be. Of course, there's not gonna be any young people that can read it because they can't read script anymore. It's just amazing that they don't have writing
Cursive.
Cursive. So it's okay. Things change, Cindy. You're old. Okay, so I love having you, and we have to have you back when you have your next book comes out.
Late spring.
Late spring. Okay.
Yes.
All right. You call me, or I'll call you. I have to be reminded. So if you'll just call me, you're going to be here. We'll have you, and I'll finish the book by then. I promise. I'll have my book finished by then. Okay. We will also want to thank the first responders. First responders, we love you so much. We think you're amazing and everything that you do. And so I just want to tell you that I hope that you have a safe day today. Just make it day by day that you're safe. Thank you. And I hope you guys have a great weekend. This starts my weekend. And call somebody you love and go see Beekeeper. I saw Beekeeper. It's so good. You'll love it. You'll love it. See ya.
Every week, people ask the same two questions. Are they ready to retire? Will their savings last for their lifetimes? Hi, this is Chris Wootton with Wootton Financial Group. Our firm has been in Montgomery County for decades, but the hopes and dreams of the people we serve never change. We help answer these two questions and many more that people have about their uncertain financial future. We have a simple introductory client experience that allows us to get to know the client and includes a few meetings for the client to kick the tires at no charge. We provide a concise, one-page summary that helps the client get a better handle on which questions are the right questions for them. To learn more about Wootton Financial Group's process in helping their clients to a clearer financial future and to see their contact information, visit Cindy Cochran's show page on irlonestar.com/TCCS. Wootton Financial Group is a proud sponsor of the Cindy Cochran Show. Wootton Financial Group is available by phone at 936-449-5952 or visit them on the web at www.woottonfinancial.com. That's www.woottonfinancial.com.
This program is sponsored by the Wootton Financial Group. It is not the intent of Wootton Financial Group to render or offer personalized investment advice or financial planning advice through this radio program or any related website. Wootton Financial Group's participation in this program is limited to providing general information on financial matters and should not be construed as financial recommendation or investment advice. Investment advisory services are offered through Game Plan Advisors, Inc., a registered investment advisor registered with the Securities and Exchange Commission and the state of Texas. Insurance services are offered through Wootton Financial Group, Inc. Game Plan Advisors and Wootton Financial Group, Inc. are affiliated through common ownership, and neither firm is affiliated with The Cindy Cochran Show. No listener should assume that any information presented and or made available on this program serves as the receipt of or a substitute for personalized individual advice from Game Plan Advisors, Wootton Financial Group,